Hello, everyone. Welcome to Authors Aloud. This is your backstage pass to the chaos, magic, and caffeine behind every great book.
I'm Ashley Quinto Powell, founder of My VA Rocks. Our virtual assistants take on your to-do list so you can take on the world.
And I am Kristen Heinz. I'm the director of audiobook production and narration at My Audio Rocks. This is where authors can bring their books to life via audiobooks or podcasting. We sort of specialize in authors being able to narrate their own books with the help of narration coaching.
Each week, we chat with writers who've launched a book, which is a huge accomplishment. I think everyone should write a book, but it is an enormous endeavor.
What would I write a book about?
I don't know, Kristen. What do you want? What's in your heart to write a book about?
Oh, it's not good. So today we're going to talk to Gale Wilkinson, whose new book, Samson's Story, A Tale of Pet Loss, Grief, Love, Hope, and Magic, is just out. And I am super excited to talk to her.
She's here to talk with us about writing, publishing, and the inspiration behind her book.
That's correct. So let's get to it. Hi, Gale.
Hello, Kristen.
Hi.
Hello, Ashley.
So Gale's new book, Samson's Story, A Tale of Pet Loss, Grief, Love, Hope, and Magic, is just out, you said last week, Gale?
Yes,
That's
very
amazing.
recently published.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
So let's get into it. Gale, we'd like to start by having you introduce yourself in one.
I'm Gale, and I really love animals.
Oh, perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So just to kind of go make things easy breezy, we're going to start with like just a super fun rapid fire, right? Just to get us moving here this
Love
morning. Ashley,
All right. Ready? Rapid fire. Her book as a kid.
Farthest away mountain.
Dream vacation.
Anywhere in Europe.
Love it. Last thing you binge watched.
Ted Lasso.
So good.
all right, that's a good choice.
I was late. I was very late.
I was really
to
late
that
to that
party.
party too.
Were
Yeah.
you?
And yeah.
I haven't finished the last season, but I know it's coming back. So I have this history of not finishing last seasons of things that I really love because I'm going to be sad. So I'll watch it all and then not watch the last
That's
season.
super relatable.
But now that it's coming back, I guess I can watch it. Yeah. Sometimes it's just the last episode I won't watch. Oh, boy.
Kristen, I'm not sure you love
All
endings.
right.
That's just it. You're not.
Well, I don't like losing things. That's for sure. Good intro into our book.
Yeah. So,
Right?
Gale, tell us, where
Pet
are you joining
loss.
us from today?
I'm in Chicago.
Amazing.
What part of Chicago?
It's near Lincoln Square, so
All
the
right.
northwest part of the city.
Are you one of the
All right, cool.
Chicagoans who needs a cross street if you're going to say you're from Chicago, or will you accept a suburb?
Suburb is fine if I know it, and neighborhood is also good. I've lived in more than I care to.
Well, I'm originally from Chicago, downtown Chicago, and I am definitely one of the Chicagoans. So if you're going to say you're from Chicago, I need a cross street, I need the neighborhood, I need to understand which of the many restaurants you're super into in your neighborhood. I will not accept Downers Grove as Chicago. Never. I will never. I haven't lived there in 20 years.
That's awesome.
And
But still,
still.
this is your, somebody in Madison comes up to you and says, hey, I'm from Chicago. You got to get all the info.
absolutely. I asked for cross streets. I'm from East
Okay.
Lakeview, for instance. My stomping grounds were Lakeview and Lincoln Park, a very narrow strip of Chicago that I hung out in. And you know what? When I go back, I still favor that particular corridor.
Awesome. So we want to start getting into the book, Gale. What is your book about in a nutshell? Just kind of explain it to the listeners.
It's about losing a pet, both the anticipatory grief and then after they pass away. And it talks about what happened with my pet Samson. And then it also talks about my journey. And I walk through things like grief and guilt as it relates to pet loss grief, and also some of the magic that can happen if you're open to that part of losing someone, in this case, a pet.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. That guilt is such a big thing, right?
Yeah, I did a survey of over 100 people in the book, and 70% say that they experienced guilt related to their animal dying, which is really, really sad. It's a high percentage.
Wow. That is a high
Where does that guilt
percentage.
come from? Is it
Yeah.
regret about what you might have done or not done, or is it more focused on uh like guilt around feeling so terribly that you had a pet pass away?
The big one is really care decisions.
Mhm.
There's actually some good research that has been done on this, but losing a pet can oftentimes feel a little bit more challenging than losing a
Hmm.
person. And that's largely because we're making the care decisions for them. So when do I euthanize or do I not euthanize? How are they feeling? Could I have done anything differently at the end of their life from a nutrition or a surgery or a treatment perspective to give
Yeah.
them better quality or longer time? And so these types of situations really, really kill their owner of the pet because they wish, typically, regardless of what happens, that they always are going to go back and assess what did I do? What could I have done better?
Right.
Well,
Ashley,
yeah,
I was going to say you have a story around that,
I
don't you?
do. I do. I had 19. I thought I had the worst couple of weeks ever. I didn't know 2020 was coming, obviously, but 2019, I had this really rough week where my husband's mother passed away on like a Monday. Her funeral was on Friday. My daughter had surgery on Monday and like the following Monday. And
Oh,
then also in the middle of that, we put our beloved sweet Molly down. And it is now a bone of contention in my marriage that I absolutely lost it cried for days about Sweet Molly and managed to hold it together very gracefully during the passing away and the remembrance of my husband's sainted mother.
but it's true though. Sometimes, like my father wasn't a crier, but and I may have seen him shed a few tears over the years. He lost it when we had to put our dog down, who was 14 years
Ugh.
old at that point. Like he just like sobbed like a baby. And when you talk about guilt, my husband and I just went through this with one of our cats too. Like it's that idea of we wish we could ask her, you
Yeah,
know, like do what how are where are you right now? How do you feel? And it like, should it be today? Should it be tomorrow? Should it be next week? Is she still okay enough and happy enough? Like it's just, it's all mixed in there.
it's a lot.
It's crazy. So who do you think this book is for, Gail?
It's really any adult that is going through it.
Mm.
And it is a little bit different to lose a childhood pet if you were in the household, but your parents were taking care of the animal versus you have full responsibility over caring for the animal. And so it's really that it's your
Yeah.
the loss is coming. The vets told you they have a few months left to live because
Hmm.
they're declining. Or unfortunately, there's been a tragic accident. And these are the worst cases where the animal is young and something unfortunate happens.
Hmm.
Or, they're later in life and they happen just to pass away. So that it's that pre and the post issues that you deal with when you're losing a pet.
Yeah.
And because most dogs live about 10 to 12 years and most cats live a few more years longer than that, each year there are millions of people that go through pet loss.
Yeah.
So it's way more common than we talk about, and it is hurting people on the insides way more than we
Yeah.
realize in society.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
can't remember actually the last time I heard someone taking a couple of days for the death of a pet, although based on what you're saying, we all should be giving ourselves that grace and that space.
Yeah, it should be this in my research and experience, the same as a parent or close family member
Wow.
in terms of the bereavement period. I took 6 weeks off after Samson died, largely to write the book, but I was definitely a mess. I did everything I could to keep it together while he was still alive, so I was there for him. But then afterwards, it was definitely a very difficult time.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of which, you stepped aside from a career in finance. How does someone in finance start focusing on this?
Well, I've always really been attracted to animals and loved them, especially dogs and horses. I love cats too, but I'm allergic. So I realized in 19, I was on Facebook and I saw this video of a woman talking to a black cat in South Africa. This was a black leopard, so a large cat that had been abused at a zoo. And the cat's name was Devil in the language that they were in. And the cat told this communicator that it wanted to be renamed Spirit. So this animal communicator telepathically communicated with it, with this now cat now named Spirit, and things turned around. And I thought to myself, what is this? This is really cool. And started researching it. And there are a lot of stories about animal communicators finding lost dogs, helping with reincarnation stories, turning around behavioral issues. And I did some classes online with a woman out of the UK named Claire Bloomfield, and then realized I can do it. So I started to just test some things out and help my friends with issues that their dogs were having, which is wild. Somebody comes from a finance background and a logic-based career like I do. I can only say that this is true because I've experienced some crazy things coming through that I should not have known otherwise. And I also am very into dog rescues. So I've rescued about 20 dogs and just opened up my new dog rescue over the last several years. So
that's great.
I feel like in this next chapter of life, it is time for me to do some impact work relating to animal welfare and helping people through their animals.
That's amazing.
So it sounds like you were inspired by Samson to write this, and that makes sense. As you just described, you took the time off right after Samson died, and then you ended up writing this book. Were you always interested in this subject?
Oh, no.
No.
This is a terrible subject. I had thought before about writing a book. I thought my first book would be about venture capital and investing, which was my day job.
Wow, fascinating.
In fact, I have a number of outlines for books. And then here we are, in early May of 2024, I took Samson to the vet, and the vet did some tests, and he said, it looks like he has cancer in his liver and he doesn't have a lot of time left. So that kind of changed what I was thinking about and working on. And Samson talked to some animal communicators that I hired during his decline and before his decline. And he's always told me, I need to write and we need to help other people. And he's part of that. I mean, this is actually Samson's book. Samson wrote this more than Gale wrote this. And so I was a channel effectively for what Samson wanted to share with the world. And a lot of it is my experience too. So it wasn't planned, but I do think it's needed based on how difficult it was when I went through this.
Yeah.
Incredible. So tell me more. What exactly is animal communication?
It's telepathically communicating with dogs, cats, horses, wildlife. The way that I and a lot of communicators do it is remotely. So we have a picture of the animal. I can see their face, their eyes. I know their name, how old they are, how long they've been with their person. And then I have the questions from their person. So it's, if you've done any kind of meditation or breath work or anything where you're supposed to really get into a deep meditative state, that is the foundation of it. So you're in that state, you set protection and grounding intentions, and then you ask the animal, you look at the animal's picture and you say, hi, I'm Gale, and your mom Ashley would like me to talk to you, or your mom Kristen would like me to talk to you. And they're always like, sure. And then I ask them, is there anything they want to share? Sometimes they have something up front. And a lot of times their personality comes through. Like some are very funny, some are very sweet. Some are healers themselves. I had one do energy work back on me, which was crazy. Yeah. And then I ask the questions. I do a body scan. So I invite them to show me in my body if anything hurts. I just did a reading on a little Frenchie, and I told the mom, I kept getting like that this left finger hurts. And she's like, oh yeah, he's got a big scratch there right now, a cut there.
What?
I've never met the dog, so
Oh my goodness.
This stuff is always, it's crazy. The data is crazy. If I were to show you what has come out of the 50 or so readings that I have done.
That's wild.
That's
wild.
I need to hear another story. Tell us another one.
One of my favorite readings was this little Chihuahua.
Okay.
And I am a fun-loving person. I could never come up with this. So this is what happened. I said, hey, I'm friends with your mom. Do you want to talk? And he said, yes. And he presented himself. So I can see things, hear things, feel things, and just know things in terms of how I get the information when I'm in this state. And I have my eyes closed and I'm just typing while my eyes are closed, whatever comes in. So I can see this dog very clearly, and he's wearing a little cutoff tuxedo shirt. It is a tuxedo on a t-shirt, and the sleeves are cut off, and he's kind of got a funky hat on, and he's on Rodeo Drive, and he spins up like the Tasmanian devil, and he goes, sun's out, guns out, and he kind of points his hand like this, and he had the biggest personality in the world. I ask sometimes, what's your morning routine? And I got the word toast. And I could see him running around. And when I shared this with the mom, she's like, yeah, I eat toast every morning. And he runs around the island while I'm doing it. And, the Rodeo Drive, they live in LA.
Okay.
But she's like, yes, he has a bigger than life personality. And so the tuxedo shirt may not mean anything, but I can typically tell you, okay, here's what your cat or your dog is like.
That's incredible.
Crazy. That is incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Kristen, what would your pet say to you? I'm curious. Stab in the dark.
Well, I have 4. One is blind. So the baby would say, Mommy, I love you, but let me bite you. That's what my baby would say. I know, without question. Because he does love me, but he wants to bite me constantly. So it's either loving or biting. Phineas, the blind cat, would say, yes, I love the belly pets. All the belly pets, all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Koshi would say, I'm afraid, and I would want to know why. Because she's the most skittish cat in the world. She has warmed up to us, but I've never in my life had a cat that's this challenging. And I've had over 25 cats in my lifetime.
Oh my goodness.
Right? She's such a challenge. And then the oldest would say, I really hate that blind cat. She does. And she's such a drama queen about it. And I'm like, he's allowed to exist. And if you were just quiet, he wouldn't know you're there. But they have this really weird dynamic. But at one time, a really great animal behaviorist came to our house when we were having trouble with one of our cats who was peeing inappropriately everywhere. And she told us, she said, you have to remember that putting 4 or 5 cats in a house together is like you being put in a house with roommates that you didn't choose. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. She's like, so they're gonna have issues. You just gotta help them figure it out. What do you do to make them more comfortable? I thought that was so smart to think about your pets. I know dogs are a little different because they tend to be like, hey, let's all get along, right? And I'm sure there are some dogs that don't get along, but with cats, it's a little more particular, right? And they just got thrown in a house with some roommates that they didn't choose.
That's super insightful.
Yeah.
So, Gale, it sounds like this probably was a really tough book to write just emotionally, but was there a chapter or a topic that was particularly hard to write for you?
I didn't figure out how to talk about grief and guilt until the very end of the book writing process. And I think it was 3 months after Samson died that I kind of I'd been through it enough to be able to write about it and structure it in a way that I think is helpful. I was just in a very bad place for a number of months right after he died, which is totally normal. In fact, the survey results say that the average time that these people are going through grief is 13 months. It's a very long process.
Very long. This is way longer than I would have given credit for.
Me too.
Right. And I also needed to figure out how to tell my part of the story, because there were ups and downs. I remember it was maybe a month after Samson died, and I was eating peanut butter, and he had had a pill every morning and every night his whole life with peanut butter. And I looked down, and Murphy's there, and he wants the peanut butter too, because he always got to lick the spoon after Samson had his pill.
Yeah.
And it would just wreck you.
Yeah.
So to share stuff like that, that's very raw and normal, or I'm putting on an outfit tour for the day. And I think in terms of, I last wore this before Samson died, or I last wore this after Samson died. And that was kind of my mindset for a while. And to share that, I wrote letters to Samson for the 3 months after he died. So you can kind of see what went well and what didn't go well for me personally, because once again, a lot of people don't talk about it and they don't process it.
I'm curious about that not talking about it and not processing it. So, you see people that they lose a pet and they're like, yeah, it was sad, and then they move on. I would be curious whether your research or whether you have insight into, are those people just not as sensitive, or are they just ignoring the grief?
Probably a little bit of both, depending on the person.
Got it.
So over time, and you see this with longevity of pets in terms of how long they're living, has increased dramatically because I think mindset has shifted. They're no longer living outside in a pen. Typically, many have moved inside. Many are eating really good food, and they're being thought of more as family than they had been in the 80s and 90s. And so over time, I think this is shifting, but there are still some people that think of, pets are secondary citizens to people. And that's okay. That's how they want to think about it. But from my perspective, when Samson was sick, I started telling people, and I'm like, I'm going to have to say this out loud at some point. He has cancer. And I started telling people, and it was shocking the number who started crying to me, who I've never met before. And they were telling me about their pet that died 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago and how much they loved that pet. And I'm like, wow, this person has never really processed it. And so I think it's a really, really big problem, grief in general in our society, but also as it relates to pets, because people assume there are a lot of folks who are like, it doesn't matter, it's just a pet, and move on.
Yeah. That's fascinating. So before we get into talking about the nuts and bolts of like authoring and publishing, is there anything else that you want us to know about your book, or you want people that might be interested in your book to know about your book?
Yeah, I think Samson wanted the word magic is intentional. And so there are so many really cool stories of what happened. Before I adopted Samson, I heard the name Samson multiple times. This was in 2017. And it was really the kickoff of me realizing there was more out in the universe that was really cool happening. You just have to know it and pay attention to it. And the book is riddled with these things. And I think it gives people hope. It gives people hope that their animals are still around. I think they are after they pass away. In fact, my husband, there's a crazy story from him in the book about this. And he is not into this stuff like I am. And it's just, what can you look for? How can you connect? Can your pet come back in a different dog's body or a different cat's body? And I think the answer is yes. And we talk about that in the book too.
That's nice to know that because this sounds like such a sad topic, right? It's really good to know that this book is actually about hope.
Yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah. I do think they go to a good place. There's a really cool book called Journey of Souls, which talks about the human journey after they pass away and where they're at between the lives. If you believe that people come back or souls come back for multiple lives, which I do believe that. And, I've seen it with pets too.
Amazing. So I love that you wrote a book. I'm so proud of you. I think everyone should write a book. Everyone who has a book in them should definitely get it out. But as you know, not everybody does. And so do you have any advice to pass along to new authors about publishing, or heck, just even getting started?
Yeah, we can use the example of my lost outlines from venture capital books, because I wanted to write a book, and I've taught classes on venture capital, so I can definitely write a book on it. But I wrote what I thought I was supposed to write, and it was boring, and I never felt inspired enough to finish it. Versus this topic, from going through the experience, and I was trying to find research in the 2 weeks that Samson was still alive, and I'm like, what do I need to know? I don't want to mess this up. I've never euthanized a dog. What do I do? And so I read a lot of stuff, and a little bit of it was helpful. Most of it was not that helpful, in my opinion. And my goal was to help people, and through something I think is really important and that I'm inspired by, Samson and his story, and how can I share that? So my suggestion would be, don't write what you think you should write. Write what you're inspired to write, and don't worry if it's weird. I mean, I had people tell me to write this under a pseudonym because it's got crazy stuff. I mean, I'm saying I can talk to animals, which is wild to a lot of people. It is wild to me.
Yeah.
But don't don't censor your book based on
Yeah,
other people. Do it for yourself.
that's great. That's amazing. So, where can people find your book and follow your trajectory here with this book? Where are you headed? What's coming up next in terms of Samson's story? And like, where can we find you?
The book's website is petlossgrief.com.
Okay.
And then the work I'm doing on the dog rescue side is Gale Loves Dogs. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook,
Awesome.
YouTube, and then also galelovesdogs.com. And the cool thing there, and this is also inspired by Samson, he's on the logo for this. I want to help people rescue dogs that are good fit versus having to know which dog they want based on breed or what they look like. So if somebody tells me I need a small dog that doesn't shed, that's good with kids and is medium energy, I'm building a foster network throughout the country that can pull those dogs out of shelters specifically for the person that's a fit. So that's my goal there. And all of the proceeds from the book will benefit the dog rescue.
Amazing. Gale, do you have any other books on the horizon? Are you going to find the energy to write that venture capital book? I secretly hope not. I want you to write something closer to your soul.
The next one would probably be on health and longevity for pets. So one of the things that I learned in my research with Samson is that 1 out of 2 dogs die of cancer. And I don't know the numbers for cats, but I'm sure it's higher than we would like. And when we think about why is that, they are eating bad food. So kibble is akin to something worse than McDonald's. And they are sleeping on bedding made of plastic. They are putting plastic toys in their mouth. And so they have so much more exposure to toxic materials than even humans do. And humans are suffering from this too. So one of the things that I want to do is just bring awareness to this. I have to figure out a way to do it in a more interesting manner.
Yeah.
Because it's, people don't want to hear everything you've been doing is wrong.
Sure. Right. Makes sense.
So I'm not yet inspired on how to do it, but that's probably something that I want to tackle.
Oh, that's fascinating.
We joke that our cats eat better than we do.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I would love to read that book, actually.
Sign us up.
I
So
would
you've
really
sold
love
2 copies
And-
already of the unwritten book.
That's right, of the new book. And you can come back on and tell us all about it when you write it. We would love that.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations. What an immense set of accomplishments. And I'm so delighted that you shared some of that with us today.
Thank you for sharing Samson with us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you for
amazing.
listening. This is awesome. Congrats on the new podcast.
Thank so
Thank
much,
you,
Gale.
Gail.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Ashley, this was great. I'm excited that we're talking to authors and learning all about them.
Me too.
Gail was an amazing guest.
Yes.
I'm so glad she came on. I'm really excited to see where this book goes. And I would, like we said, love to read her next book.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
if you're an author and you are interested in being interviewed by Kristen and I and telling us all about your newest book, you can head on over to myaudio.rocks/podcast guest, and that will take you to a form to sign up and let us know about you and your book.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on, talk about you, get the word out there about your book. At My Audio, one of the things we love most is storytelling, and everybody's got a story, like Ashley said. And I think that getting people's stories out in the world is what we really want to do here.
Everyone should write a
So
book.
thank
truly.
you. Yeah, I need to someday.
Someday could be today. Kristen, let's just start it.
Well, yes, I have so much time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just start it. I'll just start it right now. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Goodbye.
Bye.